Hey English class, welcome to today's lesson. This lesson is one that is very near and dear to my heart. It's one that is it means a lot to me. It's very personal in some ways too. So welcome to it. I'm looking forward to going through it. And well, here we go. So this first question I want to ask you is one that maybe you haven't been asked before, or maybe you have, but it might seem a little kind of obvious or basic at the start, but we'll kind of see where we go with it. So this first question is, what is English class for? What is English class for? And part of what I mean by that are maybe some follow-up questions might be, what are books for? What is reading for? What is writing for? What is English class for? What I'd like you to do is maybe pause the video and take a couple minutes and just brainstorm some ideas to those questions. What is English class for, and what are the different components of English class for? So again, maybe pause the video and go ahead. All right, so now that you've hopefully thought through those questions a little bit, let me walk you through some pretty typical answers, answers that I get pretty commonly. So what is English class for? Well, it's for reading, it's for writing, it's for speaking and analyzing literature, it's for becoming a better reader and writer, it's for writing papers, and of course it's for getting a grade that contributes to my GPA. That's what English class is for. Now here's the thing, those things aren't technically wrong. We do those things in English class. The problem with those answers though is that if you respond, what is English class for, with any of those things, it's not that hard to respond with things like, well, okay, who cares? Or so what? Or questions that are important for students to ask, like, why does this matter for my life? Or maybe you find yourself saying things like, okay, if that's what English class is for, I'm just not good at this. Or English class just isn't my subject. And honestly, if you say some of those things on the right there, I don't necessarily blame you. I think those are reasonable things to say. Who cares? So what? Why does this matter? I'm not good at this, or this isn't my thing. I have said those things about different classes I've taken over the years. So I'm going to suggest that while we do those things in English class on the left, reading, writing, speaking, and the whole list, we do those things in English class, that's not necessarily what English class is for. English class is for something a little bit deeper and more fundamental. And if we think about what is English class for, how I answer that are also how I answer these questions. Why do I teach English? Why do I teach English here? Why do I devote my career to doing this work? Why do I do it year after year? All of the grading and lesson planning and all those things. Why is it worth doing? So back to that initial question of what is English class for? If I were to answer that question of what is English class for, I would say English class is for the work we do in the class Deep Hope. What is a deep hope? By deep hope, I mean more than anything else, like literally anything else. This is what I hope we can get out of the course together. This is why I kind of get up every day and do what I do. This is what I hope you as my students get out of this course. This is what I think English class is for right here. Our deep hope is to critically analyze words and ideas and respond in a way that discovers and pursues our place in God's story. So that, I think, is what English class fundamentally is for. And all the work we do along the way is ultimately to get us there. So here's a way to visualize that. This is that list we generated earlier, right? Reading, like, what is English class for? Well, these are the things we do in English class, but that's not what it's for. These are the things that ultimately help us get to what English class is for. They kind of get us on the road. They enable us to achieve what English class is ultimately for. So I'm saying English class is for that deep hope on the right. And the things that list on the left, those are the things that we do along the way to help us get there. Those are just kind of like the means we use to get to this end, which is the course Deep Hope. Here's maybe another way to look at it. Imagine that this course Deep Hope, what I'm saying, this is what English class is for. This is what it's all about. Imagine if it's almost like a North Star. It's this star, this bright star up in the sky that you use to kind of guide you. Let's say that you had to walk to the North Star and there's this super winding path to get there along the way. You need to take that path, and let's just say that all the things below there, the reading, writing, speaking, that list we generated, let's say that that is kind of like the winding path. We need to take that path to get to the North Star, but it's all about the North Star. That's the goal. That's what it's all for. That's what it's all about. The North Star guides us along the way, and it guides the work we do along the way. So here's a really important thing. Um, Something that I'm very intentional to try and do is whenever I plan an activity, I create some curriculum. Whenever we do something in class, I want you as my students to know that I always have this course Deep Hope in mind. What I'm saying, like, this is the most important stuff. This is what it's all about. This is what English class is for. I always have that in mind when I'm thinking through, okay, let's do this and this and this. Or in other words, I think the work we're doing along the way throughout the course of the year will ultimately help us achieve this course Deep Hope. That's what it's for. So in other words, if we do any work throughout the course of the year, it's a pretty fair question for you as a student to ask your teacher, like, why are we doing this? What's the point of this? What's it for? And I should be able to say as your teacher, it's for this deep hope. And let's talk how this specific activity or assignment or writing response plays into the bigger, broader picture of helping us get there, helping us get to that North Star. So again, there's that course Deep Hope. Here's what English class is for. I want you to think through two questions. The first one is, which part of this Deep Hope resonates or connects with you or like sounds interesting or kind of cool to you? And then is there a part that you're maybe a little bit unsure of, or you're not quite sure what it means, or you have some more questions about, or maybe it doesn't sound so good to you? Being unsure, having those questions are totally okay. They're great. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video and think through what part connects with you or resonates with you, and where do you maybe have some reservations or questions. So pause the video and go ahead and think through those two questions, please. So now that you've thought through those two questions, I have some more questions. These are kind of rhetorical questions. Has English class ever been like this for you? Has it ever been presented to you in this way? Have you ever thought about not just English class, but maybe any class you take in school? Have you ever thought about your courses in this way before? Like, yeah, there's the work we do along the way, but it's actually ultimately for some greater purpose. And if you bought into that idea that, yeah, this purpose is worth it and the work we do will actually help us get to that purpose, if you bought into that and you could see it, would you maybe like the course if it was like that? Really what I'm talking about here is an invitation. More than anything else, again, my deep hope is what I want for you in English class this year. And that's something I'm inviting you into. I'll explain what I mean by an invitation in a little bit, but I want you to do some self-reflection with this next question. What has the story of English class been for you in the past? Another way to say that might just be, what has English class been like for you in the past? Maybe you're someone where English class has just been the best thing, you love it, maybe you're really good at it, you love reading or writing or speaking, you love class discussions, things like that. Maybe English class is your thing. Maybe that has been your story for English class so far. Maybe you're someone where even if you don't love it, it's kind of just about the grade for you and you're good at it and you can get the grade you want. Maybe English class, along with maybe some other classes, has just been about kind of like getting the grade, making sure it doesn't dent my GPA, making sure we're all good there. Maybe that's what the story of English class has been for you so far. This is a compelling one, I know. And I'll say, like, when I was in high school and even college, a lot of it was about the grade for me, and I'll admit that. So I know that this is a compelling and important one, and I'm not saying that grades are unimportant, but maybe this has been the story of English class for you so far. It's been about the grade. Maybe the story of English class has been, maybe you said something like this, I'm not good at English class, or it's just not for me. Maybe this has been your story for English class. Maybe you're someone who's asked some of these questions that we said earlier, like, who cares, so what, I don't like this, or why does any of this work matter for my life in any way? Why does reading Great Gatsby play into my life in any reasonable or meaningful or significant way? Why? Again, reasonable questions, but maybe these questions have been the story of English class for you so far. So wherever you land on the spectrum, whichever one of these stories you can kind of find yourself in, I'm going to invite you into a different kind of story for English class. I'm going to invite you into a different experience. With our class Deep Hope in mind, I'd like to invite you to a different kind of English class. The thing is, though, is that I'm using the word invitation very intentionally and purposefully. Part of the reality with an invitation is that it can be rejected. I'm saying, hey, I want to invite you into this different kind of English class where the work we do ultimately plays to some greater, deeper, more significant purpose. It's not just about the grade. It's not just about reading a book or speaking a lot or writing a lot or just getting done with it and having to be over. There's something more meaningful waiting for you, and I want to invite you into that. At the end of the day, you can also just say no thank you, and it can just be about the grade or whatever. And if it's about the grade for you, I know how to help you get a good grade. I can develop your skills well, but I'm saying I think you'll miss out on some important and meaningful stuff along the way. So that's why I'm inviting you into this. Part of the way that I'm going to invite you into this is by using what I'll call the class storyline of seeing differently. Now, we talked about this idea of seeing things in a different way or from a different perspective in a previous lesson, but we'll return to this idea quite a bit throughout the course of the year. How can we see something in a different way? And you'll notice that in the middle there, it's actually blank. So what we fill that blank with will change throughout the course of the year, but we'll return to this idea of seeing things in a new or different way very often throughout the course of the year. This is one of the ways in which I'm going to invite you into this new kind of English class that is ultimately geared towards our deep hope. So again, whatever the story of English class has been for you, maybe it's been, I love English class and I do great at it, I love to read, write, all that stuff. I'm still going to say, I'd like you to see English class differently. I'm going to invite you to that. If English class has primarily just been about the grade, I'm going to invite you to a different kind of English class. I'm going to invite you to see English class differently. Or if you've asked questions like, I don't like this, so what, who cares, why does this matter for my life, why should I do this? I'm going to invite you to see English class differently. So again, it's an invitation. I want you to see English class differently. I want you to see that it is ultimately for this deep hope. And this deep hope and the idea of seeing things in a new way, they work together. We'll see how they work together throughout the course of the year, but this is what I'm inviting you into. This is what I think English class can be for you. This is what I hope it is for you throughout the course of the year. I think that the work we do throughout the course of the year can be really meaningful and worthwhile. And I think all the work we do throughout the course of the year truly can lead us to that deep hope, if that sounds like something that you're interested in. As we close this lesson, I want you to think about two things. The first one is, what has been the story of English class for you in the past? And then the second one is, what do you want out of English class? I told you my deep hope. Here's what I hope this course is all about. Here's what I think it's for, but what's your deep hope for English class? If you had to tell me, here's what I hope to get out of the course, here's what I hope for this year of English, what would it be? So what I'd like you to do, and all the assignment details are posted to Classroom, is respond to those two questions and just tell me what you think. So thank you, English class. I'll see you on the next one. Have a good day.